So, hi, my name is Winston, and I'm here with Team TechNova, and yeah, I think this is just going to be some casual Q&A. Going to ask them a few questions, and they will answer. So, I think probably first and foremost, would you guys like to introduce, TechNova and just talk about a little bit of your team?
Right, so my name is Kevin, and he's Letian.
Yeah.
And I've been doing FTC for 4 years now?
4 years, yes.
Yeah, and
1 year of FL before.
1 year of FL before we started FTC, and yeah, we've been doing pretty solidly as of recent. Yeah.
And how many years has TechNova been the team?
Oh, I think that's a long history.
That's quite a long time now.
6, 7?
6, 7.
Yeah, I think they started the year before Relic Recovery.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
So it's been quite a bit. Yeah.
Alright, cool. And how many members do you guys have on your team?
Currently, I think
8 to 9?
8 to 9. I think 9. 9 people, yeah. 9
Right.
people, yep.
Cool. Alright, so I guess probably my first question would be how have you guys been doing this season?
As in...
Just like in general, like how has this season been going on
Yeah.
for you guys?
Well, the season has been going pretty well for us. We've paced out our time way better this year with like actually planning out exactly what we're going to build and preparing everything for that.
Yeah, so our highest, I think, during competition was what, 2 AG,
Yeah, 280.
2 AG something. And that's, I believe, top 10 in the world as of right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we can
check.
Yeah, we can just check on FTC stats right now.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So we
There we go. Yes, cellular data. FTC stats.
Yeah.
FTCstats.org. Of course, many of the top 10 scores are from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, that might push us down a bit.
It looks like all the top scores are from Michigan.
Well,
Yeah.
as expected.
Oh yeah, they're like all 290. Yeah, 290
So we're so close.
over 300.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you guys previously held the world record, right? Like 280 something?
No, that was our highest. I'm pretty sure was number 3 in the world, and then we just got
nice.
pushed down as other competitions happened.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll definitely try and catch up to that. That's the goal for our interleague competition.
But like it does, like you guys have posted a lot of your tournament videos on YouTube, and it seems like you guys have consistently been getting like some pretty high scores. Definitely over 200, right?
Yeah, over 200, 250 is 250, 260. That's like our good average. But
Nice.
yeah, our variation isn't that big. Like we never bomb anything, but we're being pretty consistent.
I think having like a consistent score is just like better overall than maybe just only having one super high score and then the rest of the scores and maybe not as high.
Yeah, for sure. If anything, it's a lot more relaxed on your mind. You don't have to worry about things too much.
Reliability is extremely key. Like if one thing breaks, and you hurriedly fixed it, then it's probably going to break again soon, and it's going to fail you.
Yeah. So you guys, I heard you guys say that you guys are a lot more organized this year. So, like, did you guys or were you guys like not organized in prior seasons, and you kind of learned a lesson from that, perhaps from like one specific incident of not being that organized, or was it just in general much harder for you guys in prior seasons when you weren't that organized?
In prior seasons, we aimed too high, and so oftentimes near the first competition, not everything will be finished and ready. And this time we planned for a simpler setup, just not much it's not much moving parts on moving parts. It's just up, out, everything is just kind of easy.
Yeah, I think we have much better pacings this time. So, what we try in the back here, or in past years, was that we pushed really hard even for League 1. Like, we tried to get this very sophisticated design for League 1, but what ended up happening is that it would just not work. It's too complicated, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this year, we really tried to just get a solid, reliable proof of concept bot 1 for League 1 and League 2. So that lets us test out all of our basic concepts, and then will let us figure out like, oh, what's the optimal strategy moving forward. And then we're currently building a second robot for Interleague, and then we'll hope to integrate the lessons that we have learned and the proven design concepts into the new robot.
Okay. Yes. So if I remember correctly from like a couple minutes ago, you guys said you had like around 8 to 9 members on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 8 to 9 members, while not as many as 15 members, but still quite a few members to need to organize and also assign tasks for. So like, how do you guys streamline the just organize your team members to ensure that they're able to your team is able to complete tasks on time without having it go all down in flames?
Yeah, so this year we're using Trello to manage all our workflows, and we have a lot of, I guess, research-oriented systems. Like we tested out a lot of things. We tested Mechanism, we tested Omni 6 wheels, tank even.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We tested also like Bogey.
Yeah, so that's the like proof of concept I was talking about. So earlier on, we really tried to figure out what is possible and what isn't. That lets us work in parallel quite well. So that's what essentially allowing us to make sure that everyone's involved in the building. And even once we have proven the concepts, we really try and break the bot down into subsystems. So first of all, if anything, that makes like maintenance much easier because you can take things apart and put them back together quite quickly. And then on the other hand, you can also have different teams working on different things without interfering with one another.
Yeah, for example, one of our teams was working on capstone. So capping system was very much like, how do we reliably get this thing all the way up there? That was League 2.
Yep,
mostly.
League 2.
Alright, so you guys delegate basically separate modules to like, either a single team member or like a group of team members.
Yeah.
And then those team members will, do further research on their module and then come up with like a prototype or an initial design.
Yep.
And then you guys, then how do you guys like basically come together to integrate all of your modules?
Oh, we have meetings before like every single like meeting, and we'll really talk through like what we have accomplished and what we have figured out. And then if something needs like further explanation or demonstration, we'll go and do that so the whole team knows what's going on in all of the different subsystems. And then once we have a general idea of how far each team has progressed, we'll plan ahead and in terms of like, what this team needs to do today and the next meeting and so forth. But that's essentially how we make sure that everyone's on board with what's going on and doesn't get lost in terms of the big picture of things.
So it doesn't matter if like you're a software specific person or a hardware specific person, like you should like your team still tries to inform of everyone like what's been happening on the robot, so then they at least have some basic understanding, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think just having a basic understanding of big pictures is like absolutely essential to what your own small subsystem, your work on that subsystem, because everything has to eventually fit together at some point. So it's best for you to have that eventuality in mind when you're working on that small subsystem. So I think big picture understanding is important no matter like what your specific specialization is in the team.
Yeah, I think yeah, just like in general, like people might have the thought of, oh yeah, like hardware and software, like since they're like two different things, they like people have the perception of they don't really go together. While in reality, like the entire robot in FTC is an integration of both hardware and software systems. So it's important that like whether you be software or hardware, you at least have some basic understanding of the concepts for both what you're doing and what the other side is doing.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's really.
I would say that software isn't as important as hardware, because hardware is absolutely essential. Software you can kind of pushed to the back
Oh,
burner
don't
a
be
bit.
so self-deprecating. Like
No,
I know, like
no,
I know how
No,
I
it is
joke.
important, but like for quick prototyping, we really can't like wait on the control hub to be really finished. We have like a motor controller and just battery and just to make things move like on a quick prototyping level, and obviously afterwards we do program it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, like software people have to understand like where the hardware limits
Yes.
lie, and hardware people have to understand where the software limits lie. So, for example, if you're doing hardware, you can't have the mindset that, oh, our programmer will be able to make AI work. That's not going to happen. You have to have the basic understanding of what is possible and what isn't possible in the other aspects of the robot to make your engineering decisions to be more informed and just better overall.
So I think going to that point, because like I always joke around how, oh yeah, software, like, you know, hardware is always better than software, but no, that's
They're
of
both
course
essential.
that's of course incorrect. So I really do want to ask you, like, what's probably like the most most like important, or I guess also like the most unique hardware, or also I guess most successful integration of both hardware and software, because really probably the best systems of a robot come from the harmony of those two sides coming together, both hardware and software.
That's a very good question.
Would you say the slides?
Also with our robot, it's actually a pass-through design, and if you guys check out what was it, the interview we did with the other guy, what was it?
First
object.
Yeah,
First object. So we in that video we went through like all of the subsystems our robot has. Yeah. Like sure the thing is simple in general, but there are a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
And then just getting that hardware system working, and making sure the software works incompatible with the hardware to make sure that all of the moving parts move in unison. I think that was quite impressive. Yeah. This guy did a really good job making sure that the software works in unison with the hardware and make sure everything works.
Yeah, so the bucket is like all the way down there. It needs to get close to the intake, but then it also has to leave it in order to like actually go up. So it's like you go back, you go up, you go out, and then you go back in, you go.
Yeah, I think timing and just overall smoothness of the hardware operation it's pretty much where you can see how well this robot has been integrated in terms of software and hardware.
So do you guys like have any like special like software or like any special things about the code that makes that makes the usage of the hardware like much more efficient?
Yeah, so we're using for autonomous we're using Roadrunner, and for like all that moving stuff, it's also mostly like interpolation, so servos will like slowly step towards a target, so we know where it is instead of just blindly going for it. And I think that joins up all the hardware and software stuff. Like, you know where it is, you tell where to go.
Yeah, I think we also use FTC dashboard quite a bit. So in that we can make incremental changes to all of the different moving components. Like for example, let's try half rotation first. That doesn't work, let's do one full rotation. And that incremental change, I think, really lets us fine-tune the synchronization very, very well.
And is this for your servos?
Servos and motors, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So basically, you're using FTC dashboard?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, and FTC dashboard allows you to test these systems?
They allow us to like change live variables, and then those variables get passed in, and then it just goes to that position.
Oh wow, nice.
Yep.
Nice. So I guess also like one place I would always cite for like where is probably the best hardware and software integration is driver controls, because like you can have a beautifully designed hardware mechanism on the robot, but when it comes to like making it comfortable for the drivers, that's a lot of software involved.
Yes.
In that, like also just deciding how what controls do you want to make this, or like what, like to do this, what buttons do you need to press on the control. So like I just want to ask you, like how like, are there any special controls or software that you have on your driver controls to make it more comfortable and just easier for the drivers to use?
Yes. So, continue on, like the dashboard, we spent like a whole day like just tuning exactly how fast we're moving and how to like blend the turning together to be like the best on the field using the dashboard, just changing it slowly. And we also automate like a lot of things. So moving out, obviously I'm not going to press buttons to tell it to do each step one by one. We just press a button, it goes there and it comes back. It's a lot of automation and like driver comfort.
Yep.
Right. So then going back to a more hardware side, what's probably the coolest mechanism on your robot?
Coolest mechanism. What do you think? I actually think that our idler wheels are the coolest.
Yes. No, I think the bumper wheels.
Well, yeah, those
They're
two
just
things
wheels.
are very cool. So the idler wheels, they'll let you slide along the wall very smoothly, so you don't have to worry about getting caught in anything or scraping anything. So that makes teleop and autonomous very, very smooth, because you can just ram your robot into the wall and then drive straight. Like, you don't have to worry about anything getting caught or stuff like that. And the bumper wheels let you drive over the barriers. Well, without them, we can still manage it. It's just much, much, much easier with those two wheels. And all of these things are passive. Like, there's no moving motor behind it to make it work. So, such simplicity, but like yielding such a large reward, I think it's very, very cool. It's probably the coolest aspect of the robot, I'd say.
Yeah, and I could see why, like, the idler wheels for riding against a wall would be really useful, because from what I know, you guys have a very solid autonomous. It's three cycles in autonomous, right? For the warehouse? Yeah, and that's pretty impressive. But also, you guys aren't using an odometry system, and odometry is probably, like, I would say, is probably the single reason why Mecanum drives or Mecanum wheels are so popular nowadays. They basically made the Mecanum drive kind of the top tier drivetrain. But you guys aren't using an odometry system for autonomous, right?
I would say the reason we're using Mecanum wheels is because we want to be able to control. It's always nice to be able to strafe a little.
Yeah.
Instead of like driving forwards, driving back, like a car.
Yeah.
5 turns.
Yeah, of course the omnidirectional movement is very useful. But I mean, there are also, other drivetrains that can also do omnidirectional drive. And while, I certainly am a Mecanum person and I like Mecanum wheels the best, like some of the other drivetrain systems, I would say, there's trade-offs, compromises between them. But I would just like to ask, like, how do you guys make your autonomous movement seem very well, even though you're not using an odometry system?
Yeah, it's Roadrunner splines and then also sensor relocalization. So when we're in the warehouse, we're able to see the front wall and the left or right wall.
With range sensors, right?
Yes, Rev 2 meter distance sensors. And then we also use the IMU and then just completely recalculate where we are on the field. And then that's really accurate, especially at the end of the warehouse, and then we just come back. So even if we hit, in the rare case that we hit the barrier, as long as we can still see those walls, we are golden.
Yeah, and from a philosophical standpoint, we really try hard to not push the robot too hard. So like, we really aim for consistency and reliability above all else. So like, we could have possibly went for 4 cycles. We could have possibly increased speed up and just get more cycles in. But we just really stick to reliability above all else. And I think that like not pushing it too hard really gave us time to really optimize off our movements and make sure that everything works 100%, if not 99% of the times.
All right, cool. So I think shifting away from I guess robot-oriented stuff, but not really. Like, what are your guys' thoughts on this season? Because, like, in my opinion, this season's kind of a doozy. And it's really interesting, but also there's some parts of it that I hate, and there's some parts I think are super interesting. So what are your guys' thoughts on this year's season of Freight Frenzy?
I think like the barrier and the gap idea is pretty well designed. Like it really helps invite defense, it invites physical contact. I think that part is always what makes like in-person driving more interesting than say like remote.
I think,
that we have
although
screenshots.
First has kind of nerfed defense since I think it was like Rover Ruckus, or
Yeah, Rover Ruckus was you have your half of the field, we have
We have
our
our
half.
Oh, yeah. I
Except
mean,
for
I mean,
worlds.
like
Except
like
worlds.
relic recovery defense was absolutely like something that was super it
Forcing.
added a ton of interest or interesting strategies to the game, and also rednecks kind of dominated a lot of people because of that. But yeah, like certainly it does seem like defense can potentially make a comeback this season, or it's definitely much more
Conducive, yeah.
It's more interesting to see.
Interesting, because also
Yeah.
the warehouses are alliance neutral as well. So
Yeah.
that means, robots could technically run across to the quote-unquote other side's warehouse, or, the warehouse that's on their side of the field.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's interesting. But what about like going to the barriers? Like the barriers kind of like the one aspect of the game that's kind of like, I think it's really interesting, but from an engineering standpoint, or like from a design standpoint, it poses a ton of challenges, which is good, but also it's annoying, I guess. So like, what are your guys' thoughts on the barrier?
It invites a lot of innovation too. So
Oh, certainly, yeah.
yeah, you either fit into a 12-inch, 13-inch area, you design some suspension system, you do both.
Or you don't do it.
Or you don't do it. That's another option.
I think
It's
the
just-
barrier really makes the strategies very heterogeneous, and I think that difference in terms of the possible strategies out there really does make the game more interesting. Even though it might make like optimizing your scores more difficult, but at the same time, I feel like that challenge also at times quite appealing to me.
Yeah. I think it's just really interesting. Like, I think, it certainly forced a lot of teams to basically reconsider their designs. Because I feel like, if you look at the prior season challenges, other than Ultimate Goal, but even then, Ultimate Goal still, like, it's mostly just been fast robots with big arms that can just maximize their cycle time. But the barriers this year have certainly added another level of difficulty and another like obstacle to try and overcome. So.
Yeah, most of the time, like no one really redesigns their drivetrain. It's maybe you swap out a few motors, maybe you shift it, change some belts, lengths, but it's mostly usually the same.
Yeah, the
But
same
this
18-inch.
year you have to consider everything, make it fit in there, and that's
I think
really interesting.
definitely like the barriers have changed our thinking, or teams' thinking's thoughts on their drivetrain, and certainly has led to some teams innovating on their drivetrains and making it much more interesting. So yeah. So what about your guys' outreach? Because like we're still in the pandemic, and like in-person outreach events have been difficult, and like just outreach in general has been difficult for a lot of teams. So how has outreach been going on for you guys?
So our outreach is currently mostly remote. We do have mentors on teams that come over here quite frequently, but we're also like designing systems to make outreach easier for us. One of our team members is designing remote driving just online through the browser.
Oh wow.
And I'm helping develop a simulator, and we're actually going to be like doing an outreach Sunday, like in 3 days.
Monday.
Sorry, Monday. We changed it. Monday, where you just use blocks and then simulate a robot on the field.
Oh nice.
Yeah, think like Scratch style.
Oh, I see.
No, actually think literal blocks.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool. Trying to think of more questions. You see, I did not have this scripted out. I've been going off of my mind, so
Could tell.
yeah.
No, I think that's good. It makes
Yeah.
things much more natural and less artificial.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's like, it's just me trying to have a conversation with other people who are into robots in FTC.
Mhm.
So yeah. I suppose, like, since TechNova would probably now be considered like a veteran team, like, what kind of advice would you have for like newer teams or like team or people who are like starting up, trying to start up a team?
Don't set too lofty of a goal. Always aim for reliability.
Yeah, I think reliability is definitely the most essential thing to.
Yeah.
No matter how experienced you are, you always want to be
Yeah.
more reliable than you are, like, shiny.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Like, robots might not look the best, but if they work the best, like, who's gonna care about the looks?
Yeah, I would say, like, performance is always good, but if you don't have the consistency nor the reliability,
Then maybe
Then
cut back a bit.
there's kind of, it's not really that good. And
Yeah.
I mean, this, like, it can, like, this, I guess, philosophy can be transferred not just from, or not just to FTC, but, like,
Just
in
in life in
engineering.
general.
Yeah, in
Just-
life in general. So, yeah.
You don't want a building to fail. You don't want the James Webb Telescope to suddenly miss one firing pin.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's all.
I've heard news of that, but I don't know what's going on. All I've heard is James Webb Telescope, and that's it. But I didn't know it was something like that.
Watched a YouTube video like how the deployment sequence must work.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're like,
really cool.
160 something failure
No,
points.
300.
Or something like
It's
that.
300.
Yeah. Well, NASA makes it.
There's
Woo!
like there's like
NASA.
200 just on the sun shield itself.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, I guess that's actually a really good talking point. Failure points on
Yes.
robots. Make sure that your robot is designed in a way that you can not have as many failure points, and B, if you do have failure points,
Easy to fix.
easy to fix or debug.
Yep.
Yep. Like
Definitely.
on the 280 point thing, our servo, our capping servo failed. If we had that, we could actually cross 300. But because that one like fell and also went outside the field, did I get a
Yeah.
penalty?
No, we didn't get a penalty. We just didn't get full
Judges.
parking.
Yeah. We could have gotten 300.
Yeah.
So close. But we swapped that out like in just 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys had any moments where like you're just doing testing and then something is going wrong and then you try and debug it, but then in the end you realize it's some super simple thing that you've missed
Yes.
and you've spent all this time trying to debug something else, but all of that was in vain.
Yeah, actually it does happen quite a bit. But I mean, it just happens. Like you have to live with it. It's a part of robotics. Like there's no way around it.
I mean, I feel like
That's why.
you try and avoid it, but
Yeah.
it's FTC.
Yeah.
Like it's not FTC if
The
you don't have those.
Yeah, the debugging should always be find a cause first. Like, is it a cable? Is it a program? When did this start happening? Was it after you installed something? Was it after you changed the code on something? I've changed code and I looked for hardware everywhere.
Yeah.
Was not there, obviously.
Mhm.
That took quite a few hours.
Yeah, I think probably like the worst culprits are loose cables,
Loose screws.
loose screws, just loose anything. That's like
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest culprits of like a lot of issues that. Let's see. Oh heck yeah, we're still recording. So yeah, I think it's just because of the time limit. So I guess skip the fun stuff because
No, not fun stuff.
no, sorry, because it seems like you can't come up. Actually, no, just kidding.
Scrimmage.
Scrimmage, yeah.
Two
So
scrimmages.
let's do this again because I have to cut this. Yeah,
Edit.
I need to edit it back in. So, like, has there been any like notable interactions with like other teams, or just like any fun things that have happened between your team and other FTC teams, or just within your team?
Scrimmages?
I think Scrimmage is pretty fun.
Yeah. We have a scrimmage like 1 week before every
Competition.
competition.
Oh, nice.
League
Yeah.
1, we hosted it. The garage got too crowded. League 2, Technotoads hosted it, and Interleague, Technotoads will host it again.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, scrimmages are fun because you can ignore the rules a bit. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it's just fun to have robots running around,
Yeah.
isn't it?
And if you put a bit hard on the defense, no one's gonna really.
Yeah.
There was also one game where like everyone was just doing defense, just for the heck of it. They can.
I mean,
They don't
yeah.
care about the
Sometimes you
score.
just don't get to do these like silly
Sometimes you
things
just
in
gotta have
competition.
fun, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
but
it doesn't
it's fun to
matter.
do.
And I mean, also, like, just perhaps you accidentally set world records, unofficial world records.
Yeah,
You know?
perhaps.
We tried
Perhaps.
that. Was
So-
that a world record when we
Yeah,
tried with
yeah.
Technotoads?
At the time,
Unofficial.
it was.
At the time. Then
Was
again,
it?
Michigan teams
And no
at
opponents.
Michigan State were like, haha, we got over 300.
So,
So yeah. So I think like, just as a final thing, like a lot of what I wish to do with these kinds of interviews is to, get people who aren't exposed to FIRST or FTC interested in FIRST and FTC. So, I have my experiences with FIRST, and I could probably go on for hours on why I think, being a part of FIRST and FTC in general is such a great, such a good experience, and such a great thing to be a part of. But like, what are your guys' experience? Like, if someone were to ask you, like, hey, I'm considering joining like a FIRST program or FTC, like, what would you tell them?
It really gets you to appreciate like all the hard work that goes behind just a
Engineering.
single object. Like every little piece must be considered,
Mhm.
and like everything needs to work in harmony.
Yeah, and a core value of FIRST, competition, I think, not just in FIRST, but if society really takes this principle of competition, cooperation, and competition to if society takes that more seriously, then perhaps we'll have less tension in society overall.
Just
Don't worry about
make
politics.
do with whatever you think of that. But yeah, no, I think just in general, like, yeah, FIRST really does instill great values in people. Like, even like it, and also it's like, even if you're not someone who's into robots or hardware or software, there's still opportunities within FIRST. Like, probably without FIRST, like, I wouldn't be here sitting with these two excellent guys
Appreciate it.
talking about robots and just having fun. We we met up like, I think almost an hour and a half ago, or actually more than an hour and a half ago, and we were just talking about robots. So I think like FIRST
Yes,
really
it's
does
really fun.
FIRST really does expose you to great people and connect you with all these other great people who have the same passion as you. So I think do you guys have like any final comments? Any final things you want to say?
Not
What
really.
Jack just said.
I don't really have anything.
Yeah, I think it was definitely fun talking to you.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah, thank
talking
you.
to
Yeah,
us
thank you for
about
inviting me. Like,
making this interesting.
yeah, I was up here going for meeting family, and then I was like, you know what? I think I'll meet these guys, because I met you guys like, I think back in River Ruckus, and that was when I was on Gifted Gears. So like, when I learned that I was coming to Seattle for visiting family, I was like, you know what? Why not just visit you guys? So thank you guys for inviting me.
Thank you.
And it was great talking with you guys, just,
Really fun.
learning about what you guys are doing. And yeah, thank you for watching, and perhaps I'll see you another time.
Perhaps, yeah.
Perhaps.
Bye.